Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Casey. Take a little time today and talk about a few things. One, half my listeners are Samson Properties agents. The other half are people that are interested in learning about strategies, in the real estate market, which we talk about all the time. So today we're going to split it up into, I'm going to take some time to do some from the business side with the Samson Properties agents. So, and then after that, we're going to talk about the winners and losers in this market. Now, it's summer now of 2023. Things are going to change. In the spring, we have very limited inventory and a lot of buyers. Well, last year, right at this time, everything changed. Buyers went to the beach, listings came on, prices went down, interest rates went up. So all hell broke loose last year, and we need to know who the winners and losers are and how to prepare for this, right? So we want to be thoughtful about it, we want to be smart about it. But the first thing I want to do is I want to talk to the agents at Samson Properties. And on Thursdays, Justin Donnelly is nice enough to bring me into the studio and perform, do our show. We have a lot of Samson agents there, which are great. And I get to meet a lot of them, and a lot of them will ask how they can get on our team. And let me explain how we are going to go into expansion phase 2. So real quick, we have a team that's functioning really, really well and at a high level. And we just are not a team that trains other agents on how to do things. So our theory of expanding our team was to work with top teams, right? People were top teams, and then we could supply things to them like pricing tools and marketing and things like that. So that worked like a charm, actually. It worked beautifully. We have 2 of the top agents or teams at Samson Properties that have worked with us, and Johnny G and Ferris Seaways. And, we're seeing things like now we know what works and what really doesn't work, right? So what are the strong points about growing and working with other teams? So the way we're going to do it, and the way it's worked very well, and the way it has benefited the teams we're working with now, is we're going to be the pricing arm for certain teams. So we'll come in with our pricing strategy, teach it to the agents, teach it to the teams. Every listing will have a pricing model that we do with our homes. We will tell them how to explain it to sellers, how to get the price where you're supposed to be. And let me tell you how important that is. In Vienna, over $1.5 million, in order to get everything correct, it's important. There's a lot of money at stake. So 75% of the homes that were under contract over 1.5 million, 6 out of 8, were our listings. And that's because this pricing strategy that we do will set the price correctly, get multiple contracts, they bid over the list price, and we don't have home inspections and all that. So we're going to take that module, just that module, and we're going to attach it to some of the major teams at Samson Properties. So we will, in fact, every time they get a listing, every time they have a buyer, we have a pricing team, and the pricing team will supply the pricing model that we do for all our sellers, and provide that to those teams. And I mean, the benefits far outweigh any percentage that we're going to be working on. So that is something we can expand. That is something that doesn't affect the Casey Samson team. We'll go on and produce as normal, but the pricing team will be able to help these other agents. Let me give you an example. A lot of the teams that we look at have days on market in the 40s and 30s and 50s. All of them that work on this system, I mean, our average time on the market is 6 days. So all of them should be at 6 days. All of them should increase the, because we're experts kind of in luxury homes and things like that. All of them will have more ability to go after larger homes, larger price homes. But most importantly, we can they're great agents and they know the market, but this pricing module that sticks into them, sticks onto their team, is going to really help them help sellers and help the sellers make more money. And this is a third-party authenticated system that is really helping direct the sellers to where they need to be. Okay. So We're going to do it. We're going to expand to 5 teams. We can only do 5 teams. I can't, I don't want the quality of the pricing to go down, but we'll go to 5 teams right now, and then we'll put on another 5 when we're ready. But it is time to put on another 5. So, you know, we'll be talking to some of the team leaders and see if they want to participate in this. If not, fine, but a lot of them do. So we'll start working. And then the new agents, I know I have a lot of agents that are watching this and saying, you know, I need to be a part of a team. So what we can do is you can certainly email me and I'll direct you to the teams that we're working with. In other words, and they don't have to be in your neighborhood. They don't have to be in your area, right? So you could hang your license with one of these teams and then get the benefit of all the pricing and all the education and all of that stuff. So I can't do individual agents, you know, that do less than like $15 million. But I can do teams. And if you are an individual agent or you're just getting started, it's perfect to jump on with one of these really good team leaders, and then you'll have the benefit of the Casey Samson pricing team. So everybody can have it, but you're gonna have to be on a team in order to get it. Okay. So that's the way we're going to expand. I've reached out to about, you know, 3 or 4 right now. I'll probably, you know, see where this goes. But certainly, Brain, doesn't matter whether it's Virginia or Maryland. I'm not going to do DC, but it doesn't matter whether it's Virginia or Maryland. We get a ton of phone calls, a lot of listeners from Maryland, and they ask me all the time, can you do these houses? Can you do these houses? Can you price them for me? And you know, to be honest with you, it does get a little overwhelming. So I think if we just set it up properly, where we'll work with a team, we'll provide it to everyone on the team, and that way you get the benefit of being on the team. But the team leader, you know, it's kind of like having a sophisticated tool. You need to learn how to use this tool, and you need an experienced realtor to help you learn how to use this tool. So it's a good tool. I mean, look, 100% of our stuff is under contract, and in the market we deal with, in the over 1.5 million, only 18% of the homes are under contract. 18%. So 100% of ours, 18%. So there is definitely a disconnect on why are these homes not selling when ours are selling and inventory is low, right? And I will tell you that the majority of it is either under preparing the house or overpricing the house, one or the other. And we're going to make sure these teams are locked in on their pricing. So you can give me send me an email, Casey@CaseySamson.com. If you're an agent that wants to join a team, send it over. I'll keep a little stash of them and refer you to some of the teams that are going to start using this tool. It will take about 30 days for me to get everybody educated and up to speed, but better late than never. We're going to use this, I don't want to say downtime, but we're going to use this summer when things are a little slower to kick off the next 5 teams. It's worked like a charm. So Johnny's sales are up 83% from last year. Now, Ferris and Johnny's average home sales are at about $925,000. The other teams that we're looking at, their average sales are in the 500s or 600s. And what they need to do is get more into those luxury homes, get more into those higher price homes. And that's where we're going to be able to help. So, you know, bumping the business, getting higher list prices, getting agents. This is the benefit to the team, getting the agents that really need some help, and we'll just direct them to those teams. Okay. So let's talk about winners and losers this year, you know, as we go along. So 2 weeks, we're going to go to Alaska. Let's go to Alaska. So we're going to go to Alaska, and I'd like to catch some Atlantic salmon, right? Or, you know, I'm going to go get some wild salmon. And so I'm going to get on a fishing boat with a captain, and the captain is going to tell us where to go fish to get these big giant salmon. Now, I'm not going to go up on the board. I'm not going to go up where he's steering the boat and say, Captain, I don't think we should go over here. I think we should go over there. Let's go fishing over there, right? So I've never told a captain where to drive his boat or where to look for fish, right? He knows. He does it every day. He knows where they are. That's why he has a boat. That's why he gets paid. That's why everybody, you know, he is the captain. He does it 365. It's his life. It's his passion. You know, it's not a hobby for him. It's his job. Real estate is the exact same thing, only without the respect. The exact same thing. There's no difference. There is a buyer pool for every house. You need to know where that buyer pool is. So luckily, most of the people that get on my boat, I said, the buyer pool, think it's right there. We're going to test that. Nope, that's the buyer pool right there. And so in coming soon, we test the buyer pool looking for it. If we find it, we find it. If we don't, we move to the second one where we know the buyer pool is. We're sure that that's where the buyer pool is. So what is the results of that? 25 out of 25 homes sell in the first weekend. Now, luckily, most of the sellers respect that and just say, look, you know, you price it where you price it, we got it. I'm going to validate what the pricing is. You put it where you want, let's test it, and then let's go where the fish are. So who wins and who loses? For the people that won't fish, the people that say the fishing's over there, let's go fishing over there, those are the ones that really take a risk of going to a part where there are no fish, right? Fishing in a pool where there are no fish. So the winners are, let's just go where the fish are. And the people that struggle are the people that don't go where the fish are. Last year, and this is nothing, no religious thing or anything like that, but last year I was very clear, we need to be at $1.3 million. And they prayed on it, and he said the Lord told him that we should list at 1.5. Fish are over there. Fish weren't over there. And it cost him $75,000 because by the time we got to the fishing pool where the buyers were, fish were gone, and we got $75,000 less than we should have. And really, if we came off at our price, we should have finished at 1.35. So we went from a potential 1.35 to 1.225. That is a clear example that, and again, it's got nothing to do with religion. I'm just saying, people, for whatever reason, may think that their uncle, their brother, somebody that's in the real estate market told them to do this, told them to do that. If you get on and this is the only reason why I'm only working with really some of the top teams, because they have control of their boat. They have control of their ship. They are very experienced. They know exactly what they're doing. All I'm doing is giving them tools to guide them to the, you know, it's just another tool to guide them to the fish, and they know how to use it. So an inexperienced agent may not have control of the sellers, may not be able to take them to the correct buyer pool. I hope this makes sense, but that's exactly what it is. I mean, we are in search as real estate professionals and sellers. We are in search of the buyer pool. And when we find it, good things happen. Multiple contracts, 20 showings, 100,000 over value. And I'll tell you that we also will implement the predictive analysis for all these agents as well. And the predictive analysis is money. I mean, if there's one thing that this show, you can take away from this show and say, that's money, is the predictive analysis. So the predictive analysis is we'll go out for 6 or 7 days, you know, we'll go coming soon for 7 days. Within 4 or 5, we know whether we're sitting on the buyer pool or we're not on the buyer pool. So then we go to the next buyer pool where we know there's a high percentage and win every time. So in 50% of our listings, we have had to drop the price $50,000. 50% of them. 50% that buyer pool wasn't producing like I was hoping. So I went to the seller and I said, we need to drop the price $50,000. On average, that move made the sellers $93,000. So we dropped it 50, but we got back 93. So when you think about this, well, if we're sitting on a buyer pool, we're not getting, let's pick a number, 175. We're not getting 175. There's nobody coming. There's nobody looking at the house. There's nobody blah, 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 blah. So, okay. So we're not going to get 1.75. We drop it to 1.7. And I don't care whether you're in the 900s, 500s, 600s, 400s. It works everywhere. It works everywhere. It works in the 800s. It works everywhere. So we take that house, we go from 1.75, which they're not going to get it. We go to 1.7. We get 183. Because when we hit 1.7, we hit that pool of buyers that brought 25 people in the house, 6 contracts, and sure enough, someone comes in at 1.7, 1.75, 1.83. Finding the buyer pool. And the captain says, fish are over here. Let's go over there. So, you know, and this, you know, it's funny. If there's fish everywhere and there's really not a lot of bait out in the water, you pretty much everybody can have success. Although I'm really questioning why 18% of the houses over 1.5 million were not under contract. We're under contract. 18% were under contract. If you take our 100% out and look at the rest of the market, I'm just blasted that that's the percentage that was under contract. So, but generally 800s, 500s, 600s, 700s, more buyers than listings. Anybody can pretty much do it. But this is June. We're in June, and last year the something happened, and it's going to happen again, right? Well, I'll bring up the interest rates. We just had a fight over the debt ceiling. Big debt ceiling fight. Interest rates are up a point. Interest rates went from 5.5% jumbo 10-year arms to 6.75% jumbo arms. Temporary. We hope. But remember, last year they started raising the interest rates. People were putting house on the market because they saw everybody making a lot of money, so they started putting their house on the market. Same thing happened in 2016. And all of a sudden, the buyer pool just went away because interest rates were rising. So the withdrawal rate went from maybe, 5% to 50%. At one time, 50% of the homes went under contract and 50% of the homes withdrew unsold. So we're going to go from, right now, we're shifting right this second. As we speak, we're shifting. We're going to go from 5% withdrawals in the spring to 50% withdrawals in the summer. So if you don't think knowing where the buyer pool is important, it's going to get really important. So that's going to be a critical, and stay with us throughout the summer, and we'll be talking about it, right? So we know, you're a listener of this show, you know that we're down 30%. In some areas, 40% of our inventory is gone. People are living in a house with a 2.5% mortgage. They don't want to. They don't want to buy a house and get a 6% mortgage. They're going to stay where they are. Inventory's down. They're just not moving, right? So, it is what it is. That's what keeps things down. The only people that are selling houses are 4 people. Death, divorce, downsizing, and now desperation. So desperation are the buyers that may work in the real estate industry, which is down 40%. A lot of people lose their jobs. And, when you have that job for a long time, that's your job. And now you've lost your job and you run out of reserves and you got to sell that house. I mean, I've had people come to us and say, my house is going to get foreclosed on. I need to sell the house. I haven't seen that since, I don't know. I haven't seen that in a long, long time. I can't even tell you when the last time was. But now we've got 2 or 3. So, we want to be thoughtful and get out in front of it early when that happens. If people are desperate and want to get out quick. Now, what that means is that people don't have money to fix up their house. So we have contractors that come in and fix it up. I'm not talking about the QBO, or whatever the hell they are. I mean, they're charging outrageous amounts of money to fix up your house. But there are contractors that will come out, reasonable rates, do the fix up, do all the paint, do whatever they have to do to get that house ready, put in the $50,000 needed, or the $15,000 needed, or the $10,000 needed, fix the house up and sell it at a premium of 100 or 150,000. Just because you don't have the money doesn't mean you can't fix up your house. So we need to plan around that. We'll bring in contractors, they'll do it, they'll get it work. We'll get plenty of time. We'll do everything the way it correctly should. Nobody will see the desperation, and boom, we get top dollar and get the heck out of here. Now, a lot of people said, I wish I had sold last year on June the 22nd, in June of 2022. It is June of 2022. We have had a little run up. So here's the way it went. 2020, 2022, dropped a little bit, dropped 5-6%. And then it's got a little bit farther. It's recovered a little bit. But I will tell you that we are still in the stratosphere. Prices are still in the stratosphere. So, you have another opportunity to get out on top. So if somebody's thinking about selling and it's death, divorce, downsizing, or desperation, now is a good time to do it. Or if people are now looking to move up, the spring is the time to do it, or the summer is the time to do it. I'll tell you why. Because we don't make mistakes. I mean, we're going to make sure that if the house is supposed to sell at a certain price, we're going to make sure we get that price plus a little bit, and then buy in a buyer's market. So you want to move up in a buyer's market. Don't worry about the interest rates. Date the rate, buy the house, right? Marry the house, date the rate. So, move up in that environment, get the house that you want. Yes, maybe the payments are a little higher right this second, but as things settle down, as the recession settles in, the interest rates come down, and we are in a recession, no doubt about it. As the recession starts to come back down, the interest rates will come back down. So get a 7-year or a 10-year ARM, lock in the low rate. It'll be back down at 5.5% very soon. Don't worry about it. And lock in your house at that time. Now, let's talk about the financing side of this. When interest rates are rising, you want to go in and get your mortgage and lock in the rate, right? Lock the rate in, because 30 days from now it could be higher. You want to keep that lower rate. But as rates are going down, you want to be with a lender that will do what's called a float down. So you go in and every realtor needs to call their lender right now and say, hey, do you have a float down program? Mike Filan over at First Heritage, first question I had, do we have a float down? Yes, we do have a float down. Lock the rate. It's a win-win. Lock the rate. If the rate goes lower, right, they'll float the rate down. Okay, they'll float the rate. So, but can't go higher. So you win because it can't go higher, but you win because it also, as it drops, you drop. It's a program that we use when interest rates are going down, and it hasn't been around for a while, but because they were so low, but now it's back. So the key word here is float down. All right. So I will just say this, we want to, at least people listen to the show, and the realtors' strategies that listen to this show should be, as we come out with our prices, can't get aggressive. You got to know where the market is. So what we do and what we'll provide to the realtors that are on our pricing team is we'll provide a full market snapshot. In other words, how many homes are under contract, how many homes are active, are they underpriced, overpriced, everything about that market. So if you're going to buy, you have one of these where you can clearly see this house is overpriced. Looks cool, way overpriced. Don't overpay for houses. So the teams that'll be working with us and the agents working on those teams will have that available to them, where they can look at their market value, their market snapshot, see where they are with their buyers, and make sure that they know that they're not overpaying for houses. Sellers need to, normally when you're going into a market like this, the conversation would sound something like this. Your house is somewhere priced between 900 and 950. Well, let's test the 950, right? Let's test the 950 to make sure that the buyer pool isn't there. And then we can move down to 900. I know the buyer pool is there. Don't worry about it. You really can't do that in a market like this. You need to say, we need to get down to 900. Let's test 900. Should be worth 925. Let's test 900. because it might be at 850. You can get to 925 from 850, but you need to find out where that buyer pool is. So in the summer, you adjust your highest and lowest. You go from 950 to 900 and you test 950 and go back to 900 if the test doesn't work out in predictive analysis. Can't do that right now. You got to move it down. 900 is the one you test to make sure they're there. And if they're not, you move to 850. That gets homes sold in the first weekend. That gets people in the house. That gets people to bid. That makes them bid. And again, I tell you, when people say, well, I don't want to sell for 850. Well, we're not selling for 850 because statistics show that when we drop a house $50,000, we get back an average of $93,000. So that means if we went from 900, we had to drop to 850. We follow the averages, we get 943. That's the way you get there. That's the pricing strategy we're going to start implementing with a lot of the top teams at Samson Properties. That's what's going to get these houses sold. And it's going to get them quick. And I'm going to tell you another thing, that when I see days on market of 30 or 40, I know a couple things have happened. One, they have one buyer. If that buyer leaves, they have to go back on the market. And now you're damaged goods when you go back on the market. So that's bad. I know another thing, they got a home inspection. They're getting a home inspection because you've only got one buyer. They dictate terms. There's going to be no bidding war. So no bidding war, no backup contract, home inspection. It's a recipe for disaster. So what I want to do is protect the clients of the agents that are coming out of Samson Properties. So we're going to start with a few teams. We can expand as many as we want. We can get going, but it's going to take time. So we'll launch it with another. The first two were great. The next 5 are going to be great. And then after that, let's see where we go. My name is Casey Samson. You've been listening to Coffee with Casey, where every Thursday at 10:30, except for the time we go to Alaska to catch those salmon, we talk about market strategies, things that work, market conditions, inventory. I started this because I was scared to death in 2020. Are there any buyers out there? If I list this house for such and such a price, is anybody out there? And it caused us to create this predictive analysis, which has been a huge, huge boon to so many sellers. I just can't tell you how many times we'll drop a price and get 150,000 over that. So it's been a huge boon to us. And now we're going to make sure that we get other Samson Properties teams start using it. If you are a new agent with Samson Properties, jump on one of those teams. We'll train them and train you too. My name is Casey Samson. I'm at 703-508-2535, or you can reach me at casey@caseysamson.com. Everybody have a wonderful week. I'll see you again next week. Bye now.